Well, this summer, the Better Business Bureau is warning everyone to be aware of an increase in scams. Some of them are brand new, and some are the oldies but goodies. ABC 40's Chris Pisano has more now on what to look out for and ways to protect yourself. Chris?
Yeah, Dave, the 40 Force is focused on scams tonight. And as you mentioned, there are some brand new online scams, and some are just the plain old cons.
Whenever a major story dominates the news, like the recent death of Robin Williams, scammers are quick to take advantage. It's an internet tactic known as clickbaiting, because when you click on the link or picture, you might have just downloaded malware to your computer. And now another recent scam hitting much closer to home, literally. Earlier this month, Wamiko warned of scammers going door to door with phony IDs, pretending to be employees.
If you ever have any doubt, take the information and then close the door and give us a call to make sure to verify. Always verify. We are there so that you can verify. But you know, common sense tells you that we don't really need to come knocking on your door ahead of time. We notify you, we call you, we have the proper credentials.
And as if online and on your doorstep isn't bad enough, scammers also take to the phone, threatening people to send them money or else.
The scammers target our customers. They do a hit and run. They hit our customers when they're the most vulnerable, maybe during a heat wave or when it's freezing cold out, and say, we're going to come and shut your power off. We'll give you, and it's a very short window of time, go out, load up a prepaid debit card with cash, give us the cash, and that's how you'll keep your power on. The run is when the moment that the scammers get hold of that money, they run with it.
Yeah, and at that point, once they get your money and run with it, you are, of course, urged to call your local police department, but really there's little they can do, and more times than not, you are not going to see that money again. And that's why it is important to make sure you don't get scammed in the first place. And that's why we're here tonight. We're going to tell you about some of the latest scams here in Western Mass and gives you ways to avoid them. Dave, back to you.
All right, Chris, thanks. And remember, you can call in and speak to one of our scam experts right now. The number is 846-0240. Focusing on some popular local scams, Chris Pisano down in the newsroom to tell you more. Chris?
Well, Dave, as we showed you, scammers can come at you all sorts of ways. Online, on the phone, in person, and just when you think you've heard it all from them, well, they come up with something new. And joining me now from the Mayor's Office of Consumer Information is Milagros Johnson. She works in concert with the Attorney General's office to help local folks not get scammed.
That's correct.
And with the AG, what do you do exactly?
Well, we are a local consumer program, and we serve consumers throughout Hampden County and now part of Worcester County as well.
Okay, so when I called you earlier in the week, we were talking about a very local scam that's pretty new. It's the Easy Pass scam, and I was concerned. I finally got an Easy Pass. How is it involved with a scam?
Well, what they do is they send you a fraudulent email, and it's basically a phishing email, and they lure you into opening up a link, and once you open the link, it brings you into a fraudulent website where you give your information, so you're compromising your information. The other risk that you take when you open the email is that you get malware on your computer, so now your computer is infected.
Well, when you apply for an Easy Pass, it's something you do in concert with the state. The state isn't necessarily going at you to get one. You have to initiate it, right? So if you get something that says, join now for an Easy Pass, you know there's something kind of fishy.
Exactly. However, the email doesn't say that. The email says that you are overdue on your account, that they're going to suspend your account, that you owe money, when in fact you don't.
Okay.
And so you get alarmed, and so you react to it and you open the link.
You did receive a few calls, one of which had to do with something called a spoofing device, which I had never heard before. Tell me what a spoofing device is.
Well, the gentleman who called was very, very clever. He had already heard about the spoofing device. He just wanted me to verify that the device that was using that he was getting the calls was being through a spoofing device. And he described it that the calls are coming in. When he calls them back, the number on the caller ID, the number is not in service.
Yeah, if people figure if they have a caller ID, then they know who's on the other end, but that's where the spoofing device comes in.
Exactly. So consumers do not rely on your caller IDs because the spoofing devices are being used more and more, and so you think that the caller ID is effective, and it's not.
It's unfortunate, but you can't even trust your caller ID anymore.
You cannot. The best thing is not to answer your phone.
Very good, Milagros. Thank you so much. She's one of our scam experts. You can call right now and speak to them until 6:30, 846-0240. Dave?
All right, Chris, thanks. Coming up next on the 44 Scams, we'll be talking to someone from the Better Business Bureau. We are in for a downright chilly night tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be a chilly night. The good news is with this...
It's an interesting online picture, a lurid story, or a social media link that claims to have sensational details. But as soon as you click on it, you might have just exposed yourself to a scam that's called clickbaiting. Chris Pisano joins us now to explain. Chris?
Yeah, Dave, these scams, clickbaiting, as you mentioned, they're particularly clever because they change so quickly and they come in so many different forms. Now, one of the latest examples you may have seen if you've been online, especially on social media. It's a clickbaiting scam involving the death of actor Robin Williams, and of course, he passed away just last week. Joining me now is Nancy Cahalen from the Better Business Bureau. And Nancy, you were the one who told me about this scam, clickbaiting. Explain to me in detail more how it works.
We weren't surprised to see it because as soon as something hits the news, hits the headlines, we're seeing these scams pop up almost immediately. They pull you in with information, photos, details about a tragedy, and you click on it and you get malware on your computer.
So you probably should be very wary when you see one of, you can't tell what it is because I mentioned they change so often, but they're highly relevant, they're very topical because they follow the latest news, but they promise something lurid or some information you may not get anywhere else, right? You have to click on this link.
Right. Well, with the Malaysian tragedy, they were promising photos of wreckage, things like that. When you see things like that, they're trying to lure you in with information, photos, something that you normally wouldn't have access to, and that gets people tempted to click. And then that's when the damage starts on your computer.
Absolutely. So what can folks do to protect themselves?
Well, avoid, clearly.
Now, how do we know for sure, though, that it is actually a scam? Because sometimes articles really are interesting and there's no scam involved.
Well, yes, but generally if you're looking at a news website, if you mouse over the link you're clicking on, you'll see that it's an indication of that news site, not some other foreign link that it just doesn't look familiar to you at all. Best to avoid it.
Absolutely. I know on Facebook I've received some of these, and there is a way to actually report it to the hosting website, to Facebook or Twitter, and they can probably remove it as well.
Right. They can probably take it down, but if it's out on the internet, these other sites that aren't on Facebook, it's almost impossible to take those down.
So the cure is really the prevention of it. Just don't click.
Don't click. Go to trusted sites. Go to trusted news sites, trusted websites, and only go there.
All right. Very good, Nancy. We want to hold you over for the next segment because I want to talk to you further about some of these latest scams.
Great.
Nancy Cahalen from the Better Business Bureau. She's one of our scam experts here tonight. They all know their stuff. Any questions or your concerns about scams, give us a call right now. They're here till 6:30. It's 846-0240. Dave?
All right, Chris, thanks. And coming up next, as we continue with the 44 scam, we look at scammers who are out for more than just your cash. Every year, nearly 12 million Americans fall victim to identity theft. And while scams are becoming increasingly more common, there are ways to keep yourself safe. Chris Pisano has more now in tonight's 44's scam. Chris?
Yeah, Dave, one of the most valuable things any scammer can get is your identity. Of course, they want your money, but with your ID, they can get even more of your money. And joining me now from the Better Business Bureau once more is Nancy Cahalen. We're going to be talking about some of the very popular scams, and especially these days when more and more people seem to be falling on hard economic times, the old debt collector scam has become bigger and bigger in the news. Explain to me what that is.
Well, we've been getting a lot of calls from consumers that are receiving these phony debt collection. They're very threatening calls, and they're saying they're going to take legal action, they're going to arrest them, they're going to pull them out of their workplace. Very threatening. So what we suggest is that the more you know about your rights, the better off you are. They need to tell you exactly what it is you owe, and they need to prove it to you, and it's called a validation notice.
So that's what you should ask for?
Ask for a validation notice of exactly what you owe. And if they won't provide this to you, hang up on them.
That's a big red flag.
Hang up.
Another big scam going around. In fact, the IRS just sent out another alert telling taxpayers don't fall for it. Many people are getting calls supposedly from the IRS with the same deal. You owe us money, pay now.
Right. I just got a call right now from a woman that had been called by the IRS.
Yeah. Quote, unquote.
Exactly, yeah. And she told them that she was going to go down to the IRS office herself and take care of this. They didn't want her to do that.
Of course not.
No, but the IRS is most likely not going to be calling you out of the blue. You need to hang up and then contact the IRS independently. Get their number from a source that you trust, not from the people that are calling you.
Now, here's a phone call or email we all like to get. You know, we hit the European lottery or maybe Publishers Clearinghouse, and we've won $1 million or $10 million, but this one is a scam as well, isn't it?
I'm afraid so. I am afraid so. The Publishers Clearinghouse is so well known that many people don't know if they entered it or not. They think they may have, because we often warn people, if you didn't enter, you probably didn't win, but they're not sure. One thing that they do ask for is they ask for fees up front. They ask for fees in order to claim your prize. This is not how you win a prize. You don't pay to collect a prize. So that's a scam, too, I'm afraid.
It sure is. Great information, Nancy. And you just received a call about one of these scams, didn't you?
I did right now. I got the IRS call, yes.
So it is going around.
Going around right here in Springfield.
Very good.
Yes.
We'll get back to the phones,
Okay.
Nancy. A lot of people are going to want to be calling. Again, if you have any questions or concerns about scams, 846-0240. Dave?
All right, Chris, thanks. And coming up next, as we continue with the 44 scam, we look at something called clickbait. This summer, the Better Business Bureau is warning everyone to be aware of an increase in scams. And whether they're online, on the phone, or in person, many scams use the same techniques, that is, that you should be aware of. ABC 40's Chris Pisano with more now on what to look out for and ways to protect yourself. Chris?
Well, Dave, protecting yourself, let's be honest, is very difficult because the cons out there, they're pretty smart and they're always trying to perfect the perfect scam for you. But there are some red flags that run through many of the scams we've talked about tonight, whether it's online, on the phone, or on your doorstep. And joining me now is attorney Steve Weissman of Amherst. He's founder of Scamicide.com, also a professor at Bentley University. And Steve, we went over this list earlier tonight. The first one on the list of red flags is when you're being asked to give some very personal information.
Yeah, that's one of the things that the scammers want, because the personal information, they can turn into identity theft, get at your bank account, get at your credit report, all of that. So anytime you get a text message, an email, any kind of a communication on the phone, you can never be sure who it's from. And so my motto is, trust me, you can't trust anyone. So you don't give out personal information.
There's also a sense of urgency, isn't there? The scammers need you to act now, act quickly.
Oh, if you don't act now, you're going to miss this opportunity. If you don't act now, you're going to go to jail. Whatever it is, you have to act now. And that is a big red flag. That's a big indication that you're dealing with a scammer. Always slow it down so you can think it through. And remember, they're called scam artists because they are artists.
And they're good at it, some of them anyway.
Some of them are excellent, really. They've got a knowledge of psychology Freud would be envious of.
Now, they're not only looking for information. The end game, most of the times, is they want money. So our next tip, to be aware, a red flag if they're asking you for money, one of those prepaid debit cards or green dot cards.
Yeah, and that's it, because wired money, the green dot cards, the cash cards, once that's gone, it's gone. You may be able to get a fraudulent charge taken off your credit card, but they don't want that. They want the money that's nice and neat and clean. So anytime someone asks you, wire it right away, or send for the green dot card, which is one of the big things with the IRS scam, that really is a red flag.
You mentioned, too, these guys are pretty good at playing mind games. They want to confuse you, but make it sound like you should know what they're talking about.
Exactly. A lot of very intelligent, sophisticated people fell for Bernie Madoff's scam. And if they had thought it through, they'd realize that it didn't make sense. But so they do something that's kind of confusing, but you feel bad if you're not going along with it. What's wrong with me that I don't see this great opportunity?
And those opportunities, as we mentioned, they can come through emails, phone calls, door-to-door. Bottom line, you would say don't trust any of that.
And you can't trust anyone because they have something called affinity fraud, where someone from your religious group, an organization you belong to, or any kind of group that you have a kinship to, they come at you, they scam you. Well, I trust them because they're like me. No, they're trying to get you.
If you want to protect yourself, you think you may have been scammed. We were talking about the security breaches around the holidays.
Yeah.
Target's system was breached. Millions of people's information was put online. What can you do to protect yourself? It's called a credit freeze.
Yeah, this is one of the best things out there, and none of the companies that do the credit monitoring offer this, but you can do it for yourself, and you can do it very, very simply. We actually have the instructions on scamiside.com so that even if someone has your name, your social security number, your birth date, they can't get at your credit report because it is locked with a PIN that only you know, and it's a great protection.
I'd never heard of it. That is great protection.
Well, you know, retailers don't want you to know about it, and the reason for that is it kind of puts an edge on impulse buying. But do you really need to not take a day to get that mortgage or car? Take a day. It'll work.
Steve, great information.
Thank you.
You so much. Steve is one of our scam experts here right now. You can talk to him, 846-0240, and call now. Time is running out. There's your sense of urgency, Dave. They're only here till 6:30. Act now.
They know their stuff, too.
That's
Chris,
it.
thanks. So we'll check back with Chris one last time as we wrap up tonight's Scam Alert. Well, staying one step ahead of scammers is the only sure way of not becoming a victim. In other words, don't trust anybody. Tonight, our 40 Force focused on some popular local scams and what you can do to protect yourself. Chris Mazzano joining us one last time with more. Chris.
Yeah, Dave, it is sad, but like you said, don't trust anybody. We've been talking about some of the popular scams here in Western Mass, from the IRS scam to the Easy Pass scam, bogus claims that your utilities are going to be cut off immediately, or you've won the lottery, a lottery you never actually bought a ticket for. So what can you do if you think you're being scammed? Well, right now you can call us, 846-0240, and speak to one of our scam experts. And speaking of, this is Milagros Johnson from the Mayor's Office of Consumer Information. Milagros, you've received several calls tonight, all with a similar scam.
The most popular one tonight that I heard of was the spoofing device. Again,
Which
I talked about that. Yes, we did. And it's happening. It's happening every day where consumers, when their phone rings, they look at their caller ID and it displays their own name and their phone number. And of course, you're going to want to answer your phone wondering, why is my caller ID displaying my name and my phone number? Do not answer your phone. Honestly, I want to again say, please don't answer your phones. Just refrain from answering your phone, because there are so many scams out there. They're going to continue trying. They're getting more aggressive. They're getting more hostile, and you don't want to fall for one. So just be tough. Get tough. Tough enough. That's it.
You've seen a lot of calls about this IRS scam as well.
The IRS is also getting very
It's
aggressive.
hard to be tough with the IRS if you think it's really them.
But it's not them. They don't call you.
You're
They
right.
never, ever call you. I also had a consumer call and say that someone was knocking on her door attempting to collect on a utility bill that they claim she owed. Utility companies do not come knocking on your door. Consumers, toughen up.
So toughen up and verify. Final piece of advice for folks at home?
If you need assistance, if you feel your information has been compromised, if you're looking for more literature, more knowledge to get empowered, feel free to call our office. We have a ton of different pamphlets available. We can be reached at 787-6437. We're at City Hall Springfield. And we also give free workshops. So if consumers are interested in gathering a group of church members or civic organizations are interested in having me come and speak to them, by all means, feel free to call. It's free.
It's a free service.
That is free. That is free.
No scam involved.
None whatsoever.
All right, Milagros, still about 5 minutes left. You rushed to a phone. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Also,
one of the other pieces of information you can use, the Better Business Bureau, which we featured as well tonight. You can call them, their consumer hotline. It is free, a toll-free number, 866-566-9222. And again, our lines are open for about 6 more minutes, 846-0240, here for the 40 Force Scam Alert. Dave, back to you.
All right, Chris, thanks. Ton of good information. If you missed any of tonight's 40 Force Scam Alert, we have it all for you on our website. That's WGGB.